Hello, online theology class. Welcome to my first attempt to give a short vignette of lecture in here. And we're going to look at Orthodox Chalcedonian Christology. Sometimes what the church does doctrinally is really to demarcate boundaries rather than to give a precise definition. So I want to suggest that Chalcedonian Christology really can be diagrammed as a rectangle within which any answer which honors all of these poles, which honors this boundary, does justice to the primary, and we can even say minimal, confessions of the faith. So here are the critical components for Chalcedonian Christological orthodoxy. First of all, that whatever we say about Christ, we say that he is fully God and fully human, truly God and truly man, and that this is experienced in two natures but one person. And between these four poles, we have a perimeter so that whatever is said which honors these four poles is within what I like to say, the grammar of Orthodox Christology. Now, sometimes it's easier to determine what something is, or at least to start by saying what it isn't. And there are 6 great Christological heresies which in one way or another stand outside of those poles. For example, there are 2 heresies which are very comfortable with the complete deity of Jesus, but which have trouble with the full humanity of Jesus. So let's put them up here. The first is the docetic heresy, from the Greek dokein. Jesus only seemed to be fully God. Surely the true God can't suffer on a cross, couldn't have been mutable as human beings are. Many think this is influenced by Greek philosophy, and in light of that, they want to protect the deity of Jesus from the seeming corruption and defilement of enfleshment. So Jesus was fully God, but only dokein, appeared to be a man. Like unto it, but separable, is the Apollinarian heresy, which is rather attractive to many conservative Christians. Probably before I went to seminary, much of my devotional life was in this edge. There was a Campus Crusade evangelist, Josh McDowell, who used to talk about God and Abad, and that somewhat reflects the Apollinarian heresy. It's the mind of God walking around in the body of a man. Now, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is that's not fully human, mind and body. He didn't experience life as we experience it. So in both ways, these 2 heretical impulses try to honor the divinity of Jesus without fully honoring his humanity. Now down here, there are a couple other heresies. The first is called the Ebionite heresy. It's one of the oldest, that Jesus was a great prophet, that he was a great man, that he had no problem with his humanity. He pointed us to God, but he was not fully God himself. He stood in the prophetic tradition. And again, like it in a different way, is the Arian heresy, that Jesus was divine, but kind of demi-divine, half-divine, partly divine. If there was a created order, if it was a line of creation, and the Creator God was up here, and the creation as you and I experience is down here, then the Son and the Spirit would be right up on the line, certainly above us, above all of the angels, worthy to be praised, but created. Arius was a bit of a good politician, and they had Arian hymns. They sang, "There was when he was not. There was when he was not." Now, over on this side, the situation is just as direct, perhaps a little bit simpler. We're only going to name 2. There is one heresy which emphasizes, doesn't have problem with the 2 natures of Christ, but has problem with putting it together in any meaningful sense in one person. So this heresy is called Nestorianism. There is some question as to whether or not Nestorius was a Nestorian, and that's an interesting question for church history, but this is in the church history class, and so we're using that name in order to describe a tendency. After all, aren't we children of God? And doesn't the Spirit of God reside in us? And in fact, can't we understand the divinity of Jesus and the 2 natures in one person as the Spirit of God residing in in a human life, and indeed some forms of this is called spirit Christology, and this can be done better or poorly. Some spirit Christologies take off in a Nestorian direction. Some are done better. For example, Walter Casper, a Catholic Christologian, does a pretty good job with an Orthodox spirit Christology. But whatever we divide, let me address one of the questions about a kind of Nestorian tendency. Don't we experience sunshine? Us, but one of a kind. So in various ways, all of these are err from the trajectory of Orthodox Chalcedonian Christology in different ways. Let me summarize them quickly this way. Docetism denies the genuineness of Jesus' humanity, and Apollinarianism denies the completeness of Jesus' humanity. In a similar fashion, Ebionitism, or being an Ebionite, denies the genuineness, let's say, of Jesus' deity, and Arianism denies the completeness of Jesus' deity. Similarly, over here, Nestorianism divides the person, and Eutychianism confuses the natures. So that's a quick summary. Well, if those are heresies, what is a positive construction? And the answer is there can be and are many. Let me just suggest a few. Within this boundary, biblically, there are some words that all work in here. There is the skenosis of God, that Jesus came and tabernacled in our midst. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh, and the Word was God. And it came and dwelt in our midst, full of grace and truth. It's skenosis. It lived inside of our skin. Colossians 1:9, if this is the prologue of John, is pleurosis, that in him the fullness, the completeness of the Godhead bodily dwelled. And then there is kenotic Christology, or kenosis. Some say that this has problems with it. I think yes and no. It's a discussion within Orthodox Christology. I'm more of a classical Chalcedonian than this, but kenosis has some strength to it. It comes biblically from Philippians 2:5-11, that although he was in the form of God, he poured himself out. He emptied himself. He made himself available to people. So here, in a nutshell, is about the summary of a 1-hour lecture on the contours of Chalcedonian Christology. Hope that was helpful. This is my first attempt. Hope I didn't bleed into the background with my white hair and that you could see something about what was going on. Looking forward to the semester together and working with you. I'm going to videotape one more. God bless.